Hi guys and welcome back to our channel, where we recap and explain your favorite movies for you. We never ask the most precious thing in life. Most often we come up with family as first thought. So to make you cherish all the loved ones in this cozy season, we are here to recap AfterSun, which got released back in October 2022. Just for the side note, this movie is going to make you hug your father a little more tightly. So without further ado, let's begin. The movies start with Sophie, who has just turned 11, filming Callum as he is showing her some dance moves. She seems evidently embarrassed with it. Sophie and Callum are also involved in banter. Sophie asks Callum what he thinks he would be doing in the present time when he was 11 years old. Before he could answer, the scene shifts to a woman having some flashbacks. We can then see a bus, where a female tour guide is making an announcement on a mic that is not working very properly while Sophie and Callum were mimicking her. Sophie is shown mostly sleeping through the ride. After their journey on the bus finishes, they both end up at a rest house where nobody is available at the reception even after ringing the bell several times. Callum leaves for upstairs to look at what is taking the management so long while Sophie stays back in the waiting area, going through some books on the table. After a while they finally were able to get to the room where Sophie can now be seen sleeping while Callum make a call to reception about a problem with their room. They initially had a confirmed booking through their travel agency for a room with 2 beds, but what they got was a room with a single bed. After finishing, Callum covers Sophie with a blanket, switches off the light, and moves outside into the terrace where he smokes a cigarette and dances for a while. The next morning, they decide to go by the poolside where Callum is applying sunscreen on Sophie's back while apologizing to her about the hotel. He also asks her if she and her mother are getting along well, hinting how they initially had some problems going on between them and they both were not able to connect very well. Callum encourages Sophie to go and introduce herself to the family which was on the other side of the pool, but Sophie does not show any approval. At this instant, it is revealed that Callum and Sophie are actually father and daughter. After an eventful day of swimming, walking around, and having fun conversations which were also taped on a video camera, they both can be seen sleeping in their hotel room. Sophie and Callum talk to Sophie's mother on a phone the next day, at a phone booth place that had appearance like a play area. Sophie also happens to randomly overhear 2 girls talking in the bathroom about her lack of social skills, but to cheer herself up, she tries to play with a child which get interrupted when Callum brings a drink for her. Following this, 2 teenage boys at the play place indulge in snooker with Sophie and Callum, after seeking Callum's permission. After this they get back at the hotel by the evening where Callum teaches some self-defense techniques to Sophie. But despite that, Sophie does not seem to have any interest in learning self-defense, but her father still insists and explains why it is important for her to learn them. He tells how one should be able to take care of oneself and that we are never aware of even the very next moment. The situation shifts to the beach side the next day where Sophie says something very thoughtful about being under the same sky even if she and Callum are not physically together, and Callum is delightfully surprised listening to that. Callum and Sophie are now at a restaurant, having food while chatting about a girl he used to like. He changes the topic about business, but seeing her getting bored, they dance at the end and return to the hotel room discussing about Callum's injury and his relationship with Sophie's mother. The following morning, they both go swimming in the sea while talking about some random stuff on the ship. Callum has an interaction with a stranger who discloses that he was from Callum's hometown and tells him that he has a baby on the way. Sophie can be seen documenting the events on the camera, after which they just casually lie around, chit-chat, and relax. Back at the hotel room, Sophie shares her thoughts with Callum about being tired after a day filled with activities and stuff to do. After they step out of the hotel the succeeding day, Sophie and Callum are at a cafe where Sophie asks a bunch of teenagers if she could play snooker with them, but Callum wants Sophie to hang out with one of the families next to the pool. Callum gives in to Sophie's insistence after showing hesitance and commands her to be back in an hour. As she is with those teenagers, Sophie watches 2 couples being involved in some physically intimate moments. As she returned back, they both talk about Callum's 11th birthday. Callum tells Sophie that his parents forgot his 11th birthday and then offered to buy him any toys of his choice to make up for it. Following this, we can see both of them playing chess. Sophie is lying on Callum's lap, and they both exchange their opinions about how the place you call home feels like after you leave it for some time and how one never knows where one would end up. Callum also explains to Sophie that she can do whatever she wants to and be whomever she wants to be. The following morning, Callum and Sophie eat at a restaurant and then get to the poolside. They both have their headphones on as well. Callum helps Sophie put sunscreen on her back after she fails to apply it herself. He insists and then gets Sophie to play water polo since he thinks she is a great swimmer. In the evening, They move to a restaurant with an open area where an elderly man is singing live and couples are seen dancing to romantic songs. She asks Callum if he is excited for tomorrow, to which he responds in affirmative. They both then move to an area where a casual singing competition is happening, for which Sophie had already registered herself and Callum. He is not willing at all to go to the stage, but Sophie gets up and ends up singing on the stage nonetheless. Even after getting on the stage, she is continuously looking at Callum and making gestures to call him there, while Callum looks rather embarrassed. The crowd cheers for her a little too. As she comes back to her seat, Callum offers to get her a singing license if she was really interested. Sophie tells him that he should stop offering to pay for something when they both know he does not have any money. Sophie looks sad and tells him that she will be back in the hotel after staying alone for some time, to which Callum agrees. Sophie later joins a group of teenagers who are having drinks and goofing around. Sophie is sitting by the bar counter when a teenage girl comes up to her and asks if she was doing okay. The girl gives Sophie the band that she had been wearing and tells her that she is leaving tomorrow. She also shares her opinion with Sophie about boys being disgusting, and then she leaves. With the band, Sophie is able to get a free drink from the bar. Back in the hotel room, Callum is watching the recorded videos they filmed during their trip. While Sophie is on her way back to the hotel, she is stopped by Michael, the boy whom she played with in the play area. He takes Sophie by surprise by putting his palm over her mouth, and Sophie kicks him in defense. Michael explains to Sophie that it was supposed to be a prank, apologizes, and offers her to come to play with him and his friends. Michael takes Sophie to another pool that she has never seen before. There, Michael tells Sophie that he likes her and asks her if she feels the same. Sophie says that she likes him too, and then they both share a kiss by the poolside. Sophie then reaches back to the hotel room by night, but nobody opens the door even after knocking several times. Sophie comes downstairs, and on her way, she sees two guys kissing each other. On the other side, Callum is seen moving towards the beach, and then we can see him vanishing into the dark. A guy from the reception handing keys to Sophie is what happens in the next scene. Sophie unlocks the door and enters the room where Callum is sleeping completely naked as Sophie puts a blanket over him. In the following scenario, we see an adult Sophie getting out of bed with a woman who also wishes Sophie on her birthday. She hears a baby crying and says to the other woman that she will take care of him. The scene again shifts to the hotel room where Callum wakes Sophie up and they leave the hotel on a bus. On the way, Sophie wishes her dad on her birthday. They arrive at a mountain and involve in small, goofy talk. They and other passengers are playing around and spreading mud all over their arms after getting in a pond where Cleopatra used to take bath. Callum also apologizes to Sophie about what happened last night with the keys and lock situation. In that mountainous area, Sophie gets others around her to sing a birthday song to Callum in another language. A man is shown crying hysterically in the following scene, although no face is revealed. Then, Sophie and Callum are shown eating at a cafe. A man comes up to them and asks if they wanted to get their photo taken. He pays the man and receives the picture in return. They move to the bar side after eating, where a bunch of people is dancing. He dances too and offers Sophie to dance with him, but she denies it by saying that she never dances. At this moment, the adult Sophie is shown looking at the present Callum, who is dancing under some flashlights, just like we have seen in the previous scenes. The scene gets back to the bar where Callum insists Sophie dance. Sophie finally gives in and dances with him. Callum and Sophie then share a hug. In this scene, there are two versions of Sophie hugging her dad, both the kid and the adult. Callum drops Sophie at the airport and he also records whatever is happening. They exchange goodbyes and Callum also asks Sophie to give his love to her mom. Their heartfelt giggles filled up the room. Fast forward to the present day. The adult Sophie is seen going through those video recordings while a baby is crying in the background. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe for more great videos. We will see you in the next one.